people. Hi, people who are here. Thanks for being part of this pilot program. Last time I was here, I was so excited. Jen called and said they're having a pilot program on emotional healing and essential oils, which is familiar enough with emotions and essential oils. My very first, but I started out thinking it was just complete crap. And I think I might have told the story, but my first experience with emotions and oils, my husband was unemployed, I was having chronic health issues, my kids were both chronically sick by this big nightmare. And a friend of mine invited me over to a baby shower, and I got there and she said, I'm infusing the Joyful Blend. And I smiled and said, internally, whatever. I don't care what you're infusing, it's not going to help me. And then I left 2 hours later, literally praying and asking the Lord what was wrong with me because I was so happy. So that was my first kind of profound experience, and then here we are. And I also have a ministry background, counseling type, and so they just seem to go so well together and just really fascinating. And then I just want to ask Jen to share.
I took the Joyful Blend and I smiled and said, what? Internally, whatever. I don't care what you're using, it's not going to help me. And then I left 2 hours later, literally praying and asking.
Why is it doing that?
She must have said something that tipped it off.
Exactly.
To turn, I think it turned itself off. Or maybe it's not supposed to, I didn't set it to start until 8.
So people are listening to this live?
Only one person.
Okay. So it's a pilot program, meaning is it a pilot program for oils and emotions? Okay. And did you start this? No. doTERRA did?
2 girls, they're sisters. One is in Highlands Ranch and one is in Utah. And they've been doing about 15 years of research.
On emotional healing with oils?
Yeah.
Very cool. That's a huge.
So huge. So huge. And there's such a backing right now just with mental and emotional issues and the way our society's approaching them.
Yeah.
And being able to come alongside with an alternative that's been, and I love that it's been so fine-tuned, that it's really simplified so we can have like a 20-minute class like this and really bring it to the general population, which is our heart and our goal, is that it would be simple enough that you don't have to be a brain scientist to, to understand it, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So Mary Beth and I just were at the right place at the right time.
Okay, no, it's still working. I just did something like that. Okay.
So, like I was just saying, this is 15 plus years of research that our friends had put together, and we went to one of the first classes that they held and have been practicing being able to share it with you in a way that you can take it and share it with your friends. So tonight, we're here primarily to teach you how the emotions affect your own body, how to recognize and release unwanted emotions from your body, and then to give you the tools, which is going to be the oils and knowledge, to help you to actively do this in your daily life. The class is going to be all about you, and our goal is to help you to better understand yourself and be able to live a more thriving life, especially victorious in all your emotional health. So Mary Beth and I are going to co-teach. She shared a little bit about her passion with the emotions. For me, fortunately, I've spent the last 3 years studying renewing the mind, especially dealing with trauma and emotional health to overcome things that are holding you back in life. And this has been this really exciting piece for me because the growth I've noticed in what I've been studying is really slow. And to be honest, once I've started using the oils, I'm seeing crazy breakthrough a lot faster. So my husband and I, well, actually, I'll just share a little bit about mine. My first introduction to the oils was actually for emotional, psychological reasons. I had really bad brain damage from an anti-malarial drug I took. And physically, I had overcome a lot, and I was happy that I had overcome a lot of negative diagnoses. But in the back of my mind, I still was having a lot of psychological stuff, and I didn't want to be on antidepressants. And so I found besides nutrition and chiropractic and stress management and that sort of thing, I had no other tools. And so I just, in my heart, was just like, I need to learn something new to help me and to be able to share with people. And I was flying here to Denver from Kansas City, and I sat down next to a woman who had essential oils, And I didn't really want to listen to her spiel thing, like I know everything about health, I don't care. So I turned to her and I was like, if you have something that crosses the blood-brain barrier and can detox my brain, then I'll listen to you. And she didn't even hesitate. She pulls out frankincense, and that began my journey with essential oils. So I started using frankincense, which molecularly is so small that when you inhale it, it does cross the blood-brain barrier. It can actually help to bring oxygen and detox the brain. So that's what I knew up till now, and then we'll share with you all this great information to bring together the chemistry of the body, emotional bondages, and just overall mental health.
That's great. We passed out a couple handouts. If you're coming from online, I emailed them out. They're not necessarily in the right order on the email. So page 1 is Healthy Emotions with Natural Solutions. Oh, I can't see it from there. But there's a picture of a person with the brain focused on there. But before we get too much into that, we know that stress is the root of so much illness. And there is such a profound connection between emotions and health. And there have been some studies that say that up to 80% of doctor visits, and you could just do this, are stress related. And if you could get rid of the stress response, the illnesses would just melt away. And an interesting statistic we were hearing when we first took this class is that even among children, and we know that the largest growing prescription usage is for preschoolers and antidepressants. That's the largest growing prescription. And so not too surprisingly, the highest death rate for children 10 to 18 is suicide. So we know emotional health is a big deal. Unfortunately, your body stores emotions. So it's like you could walk up to somebody who's had some kind of physical trauma, if they don't know you're coming, and you put your hand on their back, instant response, because their body stored the emotions of a past trauma. And so you're activating those stored emotions. So they're there, or, we've talked before in other classes about how you can smell something and you instantly connect to an old emotion. I've been telling a story lately of it's Friday night and you're dressed up and you're going out somewhere and you're going to maybe a really nice concert and you walk into the concert hall and there's a strange smell, and maybe it's an old boyfriend or girlfriend that you did not part well with, and you're instantly in a bad mood and the concert just doesn't go right and you're frustrated with your company and you're just irritated. And you don't even know why it's happened, but it's a smell because there's no filter between your nose and your amygdala, which is a part of your brain that stores emotion. Conversely, you go to that same concert and there's this wonderful smell like wafting out the door as you walk in. For me, it would be almond and chocolate chip cookies, and I'm in a good mood. I know it's going to be a good night because somebody has sugar in the oven. Great nutritional, maybe not, but I'm happy because that's like one of my happy memory smells.
It's true.
So, but I want to go back to looking at, where is this part?
What?
Maybe
I don't have to. What?
Okay. I'm going to start on this page actually. Right here. There's some 2 circles here at the top. There's a green circle and another red circle here. So in nutrition, oh, no, I skipped. Okay, be patient. We are going to talk about this page first. So Kathy could teach this better than I could, but we go back and forth between parasympathetic and our sympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic is a bear is chasing me down Magnolia Street and I am running for my life. My pupils are dilated, my digestion slows down, my adrenaline is pumping, my cortisol is high. Everybody knows fight or flight response. It enables you to live past the bear. When the bear is gone, your body needs to move back into parasympathetic, which is my eyes are constricted. Actually, the other one was dilated. My eyes are constricting, my heart rate is slowing down, the activity in my stomach is increasing, my pancreas is activated, I can go to the bathroom. I listened to a story recently about somebody who was driving down the highway, really had to go to the bathroom, got to a rest area, and somebody who was not safe approached her and was like trying to come after her. And you can better believe that she forgot she had to go back to the, had to go to the bathroom, got back in the car and drove for several hours before she remembered that she had to go to the bathroom. Because her body went into sympathetic, shut down all its natural functions and said run. And that's what the body can do. Well, the problem is that we don't necessarily, you know, we live in that fight or flight. I'm late, I've got a test, I've got a cranky patient, I've got an irritated boyfriend or spouse or whatever, and we just live in this, or for me, it's anytime my kids cry in the middle of the night, like, oh, how long are they gonna be up? Is it gonna be hard to get to go back to bed? Why are they crying? Are they sick? Yeah, you know, it's just this adrenaline rush every time. I can feel it in my legs, I notice. It's like within 5 seconds, I'm feeling this major adrenaline as soon as something triggers me. Because I have stored, and for me and my kids crying, so you've had issues in that department, it is a stored emotional response. So there's some of the science of it. Slamming on your brakes, all that kind of thing. Now, obviously, nobody's life is perfect. I have to remind myself of that sometimes when I go to places. Everybody, or really, it's my on Facebook. And people are posting their happy family pictures, and it's so cute. Yeah, I mean, when do I ever put anything negative ever on Facebook? People must think my life is like breezy. I'm like, you have no stinking idea.
Yeah.
That I've been, crisis all these times. But, so I remind myself, nobody's life is perfect. And when we are running into physical issues, let's talk about something as a common example. You can go out traditionally, even naturally, or you can do a more holistic route. The traditional is take some Tums, I don't even know what the medicines are anymore, Pepsid, whatever. You take some drugs. Even on the naturopathic route, you can do some digestion, you can rub some ginger on your belly. But if you look at the iceberg, the stomach ache is just a little bit at the top. All the rest of it underneath is anxiety, worry. It's rooted in negative memories. So for me, my kids crying in the middle of the night is rooted in a lot of negative memories. It's a life experience that's developed into emotional root of anxiety for the health of my kids. So I hear crying and I all of a sudden get this huge response. My tummy hurts, all these things are going on. And so instead of just taking some peppermint or some digestin or ginger or whatever, I'm going to go at it from the holistic, what is the life response that is underneath of that? Is that on the right? Yeah. Right. So if you flip over to the back page, or same page with the back side, you see the little circles, the green and the red. So this is an oversimplification of our emotional health. And the green is where we want to be. And the analogy I'm going to use is digesting food. So our body innately, naturally knows how to digest our food, assimilate the nutrients, and then to get rid of the toxins or anything the body doesn't need. And it's actually a beautiful picture of how we are meant to live emotionally as well. So when something happens, like Mary Beth was just describing, traumatic or enjoyable, we are meant to be able to live through it, process it, and then move on. However, the reality is the red circle. And whether that's just humanity in general or if it's a cultural thing, I don't really know. But the reality is this is where most people live, and it's in a state of constant emotional constipation. So our goal is to move from the red constipation state to a place where we're assimilating the good and using it and living like free and happy and taking the good and then releasing the negative like in a very natural way. So our body is so amazing. It's so perfectly designed. It knows what to do. And if I give myself a banana, I don't have to tell my stomach to break down the banana and how to break down the banana and then where to send the banana. It actually knows how to do that. So you want to take that same picture of the banana and think about applying it to our emotional health. So let's see. The problem, okay, so let me talk a little bit about how the brain is wired. Some of you might already be familiar with this because you're into healthcare already.
But the subconscious is like our database. It's like the database of the computer that's gonna hold everything it's gonna reference all the time. And between the moment we're conceived all the way up until 9 years old, we're forming each of our own individuals' databases. So as we become an adult, everything gets filtered back through the database. So because we live in a toxic fallen world, however you want to describe it, a lot of our databases, we come into our adulthood like a little bit off balance. And a lot of it is because the emotional connection with the actual event that happened is going to form together and create a picture. And so as adults, when we have limiting beliefs, we want to learn how to look at those beliefs and break free of them. And I think we hear a lot about that in our culture of like living to our fullest potential and in goodness and in gratitude. But sometimes there's a process of getting from here and positive and stuck in a place all the way over here living that victory. And I'm super excited because the oils really help to get there. So we're going to talk about specifically, we're going to do some activities that are going to help each of us get in touch with some stuff we might be dealing with and identify some of the limiting perceptions that we've held on to, and then learn how to move to a place of freedom. But the one thing I want to say before I go into how the oils help with this is this process can be, depending on how much the patient's constipation is really built up, this process can be like it requires diligence, it requires actively using the oils. I think that's the easiest thing with us with the oils is to forget to open the bottles. And it's not a quick fix, and it's not an overnight thing. And I just really want to drive that home, to be gracious and patient with yourself, for the people that you're working with, that getting in touch and learning how to just be in our body when it's full of all these memories is hard enough, like let alone to actually move through to a place of victory. So I want to talk a little bit just about these core beliefs that we have that we've developed from childhood. They can be anything, and she went into this a little bit, but just believing, if you had a series of breakups through high school and then you grab onto a belief that I'm unloved and I'm unlovable, I can't do relationships. Or if a child is bullied a lot, or if they're sick a lot as a child, then as an adult, they're going to have these subconscious things that they're going to live out of, but not necessarily be consciously in touch with. I also call these life commandments as well. They're life commandments because when we're young and when we don't know any better, we latch on to something at the time is life-giving to us. And then we find out we hold on so tight to it because it was life-giving then. And then now we're an adult and we're wondering, why isn't this so life-giving anymore? So slowing down and revisiting those things and facing the emotional part of it. So the great thing about all of this and using the oils as a tool is that I like to look at us as one gigantic chemistry lab. Everything that's going on molecularly, our food, it's all chemical. And culturally, technically we've learned to trust medication. And the reason we trust it is why? Because of the chemistry of it. We trust that that pill, if we take it, it's going to go to the place where it was designed to go to and do what we hope it's going to do. Unfortunately, though, a lot of the medications are foundationally going to carry along with it a lot of toxins. So if it numbs a part of the body goes a little bit into the shock of like, what do I do with the rest of it? So the difference between the chemistry of a medication when we're dealing with emotions and the chemistry of the oils is that the essential oils are going to do the same thing as a pill, meaning chemistry. But there's something that the body can recognize, and it's never going to be a toxin, and the body actually grabs onto it, the little molecules dancing around, and knows what to do with it. So before we go any further in that, do you want to put the video about essential oils? I know most of you listening are familiar with essential oils, but we're going to do just a brief video on how essential oils are compatible with our body's chemistry. Oops. Let's see.
Well, before we, and we'll wait till the end, there's one thing I forgot to mention earlier, is, that we're talking about how so many physical issues are rooted in an emotion. And it's really just because our body is talking to us and giving us clues. And it starts out as a whisper, and it gets a little louder, and a little louder, and a little louder until you stop and pay attention. So for example, earlier this year, all of a sudden, I start having tummy. At the same time I started traveling, now that I go back and look at it, I start having GI issues out of nowhere. Now, I've never liked to travel in my life. Before I had kids, since I've had kids, I love to get there, but the process of traveling, I mean, I could almost have a panic attack every time I have to pack my suitcase. Because I'm just like, I'm gonna forget something, and I'm so micro-organized, so I wanna know every single thing that needs to go in my suitcase, and just planning it just feels like a colossal event. So anyway, all of a sudden I'm traveling a lot, and actually I've loved it once I get to where I'm going. But, so I start having this really intense stomach pain. And I have a holistic health service, and I use a lot of supplements, and I've done GI restoration for myself, for my kids. So I'm very familiar with gut health and gut restoration. And so my tummy starts hurting, and I think, well, maybe I need to do like a gut restoration program. And I'm going through in my head all these supplements that I need to start taking. What does this look like? And because my body's talking, and it's getting louder. Because now every time I eat, I'm having intense stomach pain. And I'm thinking, do I have an ulcer? Like, what is going on with me physically? And then the more I just kind of start probing and pushing and what's going on here, and I realize it is all anxiety. Because I'm traveling all of a sudden, my kids are at home, I'm not there, are they okay? Is my husband stressed? Is he getting his work done? And it is 100% emotional. And my body is just telling me, you are not handling the stress very well. And so I don't necessarily ignore the physical, but if I can focus on the emotional root, which I did, and I haven't had any tummy pain in a month, because I just kind of clicked. My body is telling me that I'm not handling the situation well. I need to relearn how I'm handling the situation so that my body can be at peace. So I wanted to go back and just kind of mention that.
Yeah, that's really good.
And should I hit the play all, or is there a specific?
I think the one that says Intro to Essential Oils. Introduction to
Welcome.
Essential Oils.
Timeline, why essential oils, grades, restore, prepare, prevent, how to use, choose a kit. Or play all.
No, I watched that whole thing.
What was the first one you said after
Welcome, timeline,
I think just welcome, maybe?
try the
Yeah,
welcome.
let's try that. If that doesn't work, don't worry about it.
I'm not sure if I can see menu. Should I just hit play or?
If you're online, you can watch or do a YouTube search for Introduction to Essential Oils, doTERRA.
Ooh, it says
And
not
see if you
permitted.
find it.
It's nothing there, can you see?
I'm so excited to be here. Welcome to Natural Solutions for Healthy Living. This is an Introduction to Essential Oil class. Today, you are going to be educated and empowered in ways that maybe you never even thought were possibilities to you through the use of essential oils. You're going to take away 3 things from this class. 1, what are essential oils? 2, how do I use them? And 3, how do I get them into my home? And some of you may be looking at me thinking, well, I kind of want to do what she does. I'm a wellness advocate and educator, and I feel passionate about helping others on their wellness journey. If that resonates with you, call the person or talk to the person who introduced you to this class, and they can help you get started.
Bummer. Totally not what I was going for. Well, fortunately, you guys have all finished an Introduction to Essential Oils class. So you know what they are and how they work. Sorry about that.
Well, did we want why essential oils?
You could try. How long is it?
Doesn't say
They're usually less than 2 minutes, so we'll try that.
why essential oils, it's really done.
This one sounds right.
So let's talk about what are essential oils and why would I use them? Essential oils come from plants. They're natural aromatic compounds found in the seeds, bark, rind, and leaves of plants, extracted and distilled for health benefits. If you look at your handout, you're going to see this picture right here. It's a picture of a peppermint leaf. You'll see that the little sacs on the surface contain essential oils. And I have loved experiencing peppermint in my home. If you have some, crack open the bottle and experience it now.
I don't think it's the right one.
Yeah, I think this was.
Should stop
Is
with
he trying?
So sorry, trying too many technology things at one time.
And I can kind of summarize what this actual video that you can interject here. It talks more about, like for instance, an orange. If you were going to go and eat an orange off the tree, you'd want to go for the orange that wasn't sprayed with pesticides. You'd want the fully alive orange because in its skin, you're going to extract the compounds that are going to be these little chemistry pieces that are going to help interact with your body like we were talking about earlier. And it just gives you examples of, you can use the petals of the trees or of the plant, the leaves, the rind, the roots, the resin, and all of them are going to contain unique volatile aromatic compounds. They are, I won't go into the extraction.
Give us talk.
We all kind of know the extraction stuff, but we want unadulterated, purest form. That's what it was going for. So when we already covered that. So when we use essential oils, they're mysteriously going to interact with our body, and we chemically are going to use these aromatically when we breathe them into our nose. And you go to the next picture, where it has a picture of the brain and the limbic system. So there are 3 different ways to use the oils that we're all familiar with, but aromatically is going to be the most effective way to get to our emotions. And the reason being, if you look at that diagram there, the one way to access the brain directly is through the olfactory gland. So when we inhale these little aromatic compounds, when they're fully alive and active, they're going to go directly to the amygdala. The amygdala is tied in with our limbic system, where we store all of our emotions, and all that wiring with the thalamus and the hypothalamus, and like I was talking about earlier, the subconscious, that kind of collides in the amygdala, where the memories are linked in with emotion and scent. Okay, so it's just like what Mary Beth was saying about, this is going to trigger negative memory, this is going to trigger positive memory. We're going at it now, and we're saying, let's use these chemicals that are from the plants out there. They're going to actually go and melt or dissolve this negative traumatic stuff that I have stored inside my brain.
So it's specific oils that actually based on the emotion.
So each oil has a specific emotional component. That's why, like, we generally think of citrus oils as being mood uplifting because of these specific chemicals of citrus oil. Black pepper is an oil that helps people let go of grief and anger because of the exact chemical constituents of that oil. We have a whole black pepper, go figure. Actually did just to interject a story, because I like the story. I love the science, and I love the science. I did a biofeedback scan on somebody once. And I'll never forget it because she just had a cancer diagnosis recently. Her mother had died like a year before on her birthday. And something happened with her dad, I don't know what it was, but she could just throw him under a bus. No positive emotions. And so I did a biofeedback scan for her, and I'm thinking, she's going to need some frankincense, and like every anti-cancer oil I'm thinking is going to show up on the screen. Because I'm an oncology nurse by background, so I'm really fascinated by oils and oncology and how those meld together. Black pepper is the only thing that comes up. And in my head, I'm going, what? You know, black pepper is an antiseptic, it helps you quit smoking, like, why black pepper? And then I go back and look at it in the emotions book, and it says it helps you release stored grief and anger. And because emotions are a chemical within your body when you use a chemical to interact with negative stored chemicals, you can release those negative chemicals. So the crux of the chemical stressors in her body were grief and anger, not the cancer diagnosis at that time. And so that's what her body was really craving, was how can I let go of this grief and anger? And so it's a story for you.
Yeah,
Back
that's
to the
great.
science.
So how do you do that biofeedback thing? How does that work?
Oh, I'll tell you more.
Okay.
I have it with me too, and I'd be glad to give you one. I'm just curious. It's fascinating.
That's a great example of how that black pepper was chemically able to go and melt through so that she can move forward into deeper emotions even.
Yeah.
And I like to picture sometimes we have all these oils in our bags and they're in these little vials and they're all organized. But I like to picture a gigantic garden and picturing each of those in their full plant and their full bloom. And having a hard day or working through something and to be able to go out and then walk through that garden with all of these amazing plants and they're not treated with any chemicals or pesticides, and how it would bring healing just by walking around and smelling the plant. And so this right here is literally the pivotal piece because we're actually seeing that chemistry going on as you use the words in the brain. And there's a lot out there, there's a lot of therapies, a lot of emotional ways to work through emotions, but this, if you bring the oils alongside of a lot of those different approaches, it literally will bring you to so many quicker layers more. I testify to years of kind of going around the same mountains emotionally and then starting to use the oils and getting so much breakthrough in my life. So it's a really exciting thing for people that want to have some better mental health. It's not easy because it brings up a lot of emotional stuff, but so that's aromatically, and then the brain picture. Do you guys have any questions about the brain chemistry part of it? Okay. And then briefly, it goes into using them topically and internally as well. And I do have one story where a woman had a horrific childhood trauma and had done a lot of work to break through it emotionally. And the ladies who designed this program were doing some guided imagery with her and trying to get her in touch with it. And she described it as a ball and chain wrapped around her ankle was bondage. And no matter what she did, she wasn't able to agree to release that thing. Or even if she was like, no, I agree, like release the ball and chain, nothing was happening. And so they finally took out some wild orange and they used the oil and they had her apply it around the ankle where the ball and chain was. And just like that, she was able to see it break loose and release. And so that's all going on in the brain, but that's an example of being able to use it topically. You know, sometimes as you begin to experiment with this, you can do things like with anxiety or anxiety is a great one, especially many of us as women, we carry that stress in our stomach, and being able to just apply it as you're picturing the stress and letting it go and doing the method that Mary Beth is going to teach us, you can just apply it topically, and that's another way as well as aromatically, but just understanding that aromatically is the first and most effective way. And then the third one is internally, and that is unique to doTERRA. So anyone listening else online, don't use these unless it's certified peer therapy. It'd be great to take internally.
And one thing we were talking about in our last class, and I actually went and found an article in Informational Magazine, is that scientists found olfactory cells, which are the smell cells, in different parts of the body, heart, lungs, which means because the smell is what's giving you the emotional component. And so when you put something on topically or you take it internally, that's why they were doing some studies with heart repair and sandalwood because of the smell, the olfactory cells in different parts of the body. So I just wanted to say that on the topical and internal, because obviously we know what we put topically becomes internal in a very rapid fashion.
Very true. That's good. No, that's great. Yeah. So with that, if you'd like to put that next part of the reading.
So we're going to the top 10 health concerns and emotional root causes. It's a chart here. And they put this together to address what emotional roots are connected to physical issues. So going back to my story about tummy issues. Let's see, digestive issues down there at the bottom. If you are feeling judged, anxious, or avoidant, you can be sure I've been feeling a little bit of anxiety, major life changes. I'm also experiencing digestive issues. I'm going to use these oils. Now, the ones listed in plain font are primarily for the emotion. The one listed in bold font can be used to address the emotion or the physical. So, for example, one of the ladies with doTERRA, her son, 12, 13, experienced a terrible burn last summer. 60% burn. It was over 50, but it was a significant burn, and was doing some rehab. I mean, he was able to save his limbs, which was amazing in and of itself. And they used a whole bucket load of oils on this child. But they were doing rehab, and it's excruciatingly painful. We know burns are intensely painful. And so they're going to rehab, and he just starts bawling, and he says, Mom, I just can't do it again. You know, it's just going to be too painful. I feel so sick to my stomach right now. And so instead of grabbing the Digestin or the peppermint, which of course that's going to help with the tummy, she goes for an emotional oil instead, and they just start breathing it in. Because what he needs to feel instead is, I'm accepted, I'm peaceful, and I'm courageous, and I'm going to choose to have courage to face the pain in order to heal. And so you can definitely use but in that situation, she could have used peppermint. She actually could have used peppermint or Digestin, because that's going to address the physical and the emotional. And so this is a great chart, but this chart is also online on sharesuccess.com/library. And if you go all the way to the bottom of the page, it says emotional roots to physical ailments, and this chart is on there if you're connecting online. So these are just some of them. This list is not exhaustive. I mean, we have a whole textbook here of oils and emotions. And I've actually even done this with my daughter, where she was a NICU baby, or a isolate. She was in the incubator for a long time when she was born, and I just think that's not the way you're supposed to start life. You know, nobody's touching you. You can't hear your mommy all of a sudden. I was sick as a dog. I could only see her for like an hour a day. And I just have always wondered what was built into her subconscious at the time that she needs healing from. And she's 4. And so I'm not necessarily going to do major inner healing and counseling with her. But when I see things come up, I'm looking through here and I'm going, okay, it's not just shyness, it's not, and I'm just kind of trying to be in touch with her and what's going on with her. And I'm flipping through and going, okay, it's powerlessness. She feels powerless somehow. Like that was just what stuck out to me. So I can use an oil to support that feeling of powerlessness. So when she says to me, I don't want to go to school or ballet, and I'm shy to people, Mommy, she says. And so I've said to her before, let's get your roller ball, the one that's just for you, and put it here on your sternum, because then you're going to get the topical and the aromatic, just to give you some power to believe the best, that what you have to offer is beautiful to the Lord. So this is not an exhaustive list, but this is some things here. For example, I just want to talk real quickly about this. If you're living in the past, a lot of times you'll find people having depression. Living in the future, and just so anxious about the future, a lot of times we're going to have anxiety. And then we want to use balance. To live in the present. And so balance is a great oil to use to connect with what's going on in my body right now. So I did this. I hope it's okay, I'm telling this story. I was practicing this on my husband, this technique. He started smelling so good. I just want you to put a drop in your hand and just sit there and breathe in for a few minutes. So we started with some balance, and I said, he has had some intense business challenges lately. And I said, what are you feeling in your body? And he's just breathing the balance. So as you're breathing the balance, I just want you to be aware of what's going on in your body. And we're now on the last page, or the kind of the bottom where it says number 1 is connect. So we're just connecting with what is going on in your body right now. So I'm just going to give you some examples, but I'm going to speak to my husband, and he says, I just have a tension in the back of my neck, and my jaw's been hurting. And then I said, well, what memories do you have from that feeling? What does that make you think of? I remember when I was in the Marine Corps and I fell somewhere and I broke my jaw. And we were just talking about this and what does that emotion remind you of? Because I just feel like a failure. And I just like hit the wall and things were falling apart. Okay, so we're using this balance, and he's just sitting there breathing the balance all the time. And because these oils, we're having a direct connect to his olfactory center, his brain, his emotions. He is just spitting stuff out left and right. Whereas if you try to do emotional work with men, or sometimes with yourself, sometimes it's really hard to get at the emotional root, but because there's no filter, you're just connecting. And so then we ended up using, I think, wild orange. And it's like, what do you know is true about yourself? And he started saying all these things that he knows that he's good at, that he's gifted in, he's called to do. And this conversation lasted for 4 minutes with 2 kids in the back, in the car seat, interrupting us. Actually, just for comic relief, we're doing this, kind of serious emotional thing. And before we got in the car, my son, who's the younger one, he tried to put on my daughter's bicycle helmet. And my husband said, Isaac, that helmet, something about the size of their heads, or that doesn't fit you because, Joy, your head is small or something. She is really petite. But he said something that made reference to that her head was smaller than his. I was laughing just thinking about it. And we're having this silent, serene moment. And all of a sudden, Joy goes, I do not have a small head. And we just burst out laughing. So, in the midst of all of this, we're still having, honestly, if that had happened to me, I would have completely lost focus. And we would have just fallen apart laughing. What were we talking about? And we just go right back to breathing these oils. And he just starts spitting these things out. So, and then actually went on to have one of the most profound conversations with a person he's been talking to for 4 years on a business project and made major strides 10 minutes after we did this. So I want you to, we're just going to take a minute. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes. I'll close my mouth for a minute. And I want you to think about what is going on in your body, either physically or emotionally. Like what comes to you. And you don't have to say it quite yet, because I'm going to talk you through a couple things. But just think about what are you feeling in your body, or what emotion is right at the surface for you. And as you're feeling that, you can think about what colors come to mind, what imagery comes to mind. Just take a moment to kind of connect to what is the feeling underneath the physical symptom. Does anybody feel comfortable sharing? If you don't, that's okay, but does anybody feel comfortable? Anything? Penny?
Yeah, well, I just had a lot of tension from the race this morning that I did, and I was just feeling it in my back and in my calves and my neck. So I was just pausing and breathing in deeply. I just felt a lot of that releasing.
Do you feel like there's any emotion underneath that? And obviously you have a perfectly good physical reason for that soreness, but do you feel like there's any emotional?
Well, yeah, sometimes when I work out hard like that, or I'll, like, for some people it relieves a lot of stress, but for some reason for me it actually heightens my anxiety sometimes when I work out like that. Yeah, and so I think that was connected with it. It caused everything to tense up even more.
Yeah. So and tell me to stop at any point. If you think about that, I'm going to get you I'm actually going to give you some hot orange. If you want to close your eyes and think about what emotions you're feeling when you work out, and what either belief statements about yourself, memories, things that you have a negative emotional connection with, things that you're afraid of, are there any emotions that come to your mind as you think about the physical tension you feel when working out?
Well, during the process when I'm working out, sometimes I really have to like, take a moment to tell myself to relax as I run. Because even when I work out, I'll be too worried about put too much emphasis on I need to speed up, I need to be faster. And then when I do that, it messes up my form and instead of just enjoying that moment,
Yeah.
I get so hung up on, oh my gosh, well, I need to lose weight and I need to be faster and I need to be better. And I totally lose connection with, enjoying just being there, being out on a beautiful day. Yeah. And feeling how good it actually makes you feel instead of getting so stressed out.
That's great. I do not have this book memorized, so if you'll follow us in just a second.
I'm gonna introduce this one too. I'm gonna introduce past tense while you're listening here. See, just breathe it in and just keep paying attention like you're doing so well.
And I'm gonna pass these out too, or at least two of these. You can look in the back. So Penny, maybe I'll let you kind of lead a little bit here. Look in the back in this index section, and just while you're reading the past tense or wild orange, look at the words that are listed and see what sticks out to you as the root cause of that anxiety. Here you go. So you have that.
So let's see.
Toward the very, very end of, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
And take your time. Go,
Appendix C, essential oil emotional usage guide.
no, let's see, it's the index at the very back.
Oh, to D. Not B.
Let's see, oh, you're fine. Here we go. All these words here, just kind of flip backwards and see, are there any words that stick out to you?
I think this is page 138.
Page 138. I mean, I can think something could come into my mind, but I just want to see what sticks out to you.
A worrier. I get worried very easily.
So what are some of the oils listed on that one?
For worried. Wild orange, which is what you just gave me. Tangerine, sandalwood, and cilantro.
Okay. So keep flipping and just see kind of what sticks out to you.
Oh, there's stiffness. Body or mind. Massage blend for citrus.
And as you throw some of them out, I'll hand them to you, and then you can, that's a part of it, as you interact with the oils, paying attention to how your response to the oils.
And there's sensitive or overly sensitive. And that's repellent blend, protective blend, clove, and ginger.
So maybe pick one of the ones that you just, which one did you say?
That's repellent blend.
That's repellent.
So either turn to repellent blend or tension blend, which is the oil of relief. And if you read through them and just see does any of that stick out to you.
So let's see, read through.
Tension blend is on page 85.
Oh, I see.
They're just trying to figure out what smells best to you, or what?
Or what is the root emotion? So Jen and I did this on myself the other day. I was having this joint pain when I wake up in the morning, but I don't think it's anything. I'm not really paying attention to it. And so we were doing this, and I was able to use the oils, and as I'm sitting there breathing the oils in, I'm realizing, okay, one of the root issues is I just feel disconnected from God, and I'm anxious. And so I'm sleeping like this. So of course I wake up in the morning and my joints hurt because I'm like clenching my fists. Because I felt disconnected, because I'm just running around traveling all over the country, which is super fun, but it's a big life change. And it's not a long-term life change, so I don't have to adjust to it. It's like, we're just gonna do this, have as much fun as we can, and we'll make it work, and it'll be over in 4 months. And so, and I just didn't quite know what it was. So it's been just a lot of adjustment. And so I'm just sleeping with this. So I'm using these oil and breathing in and going, okay, oh my gosh, just because I feel disconnected. So I am, well, what do I want to feel? And what do I know is true? Well, I know that I'm connected to God and that I'm supported in every moment. But I was able to walk through that step just by breathing them in and going, okay, like I looked at, I think immortality was the one we looked at. So that's why I say look at the different ones and see what really sticks out to you. Now, biofeedback is helpful students. Biofeedback can kind of cut to the chase and help you identify the oil. But if you don't have biofeedback, you can use a book like this. Or you can just be intuitive and use the oils that you have. But what the goal is to get at what is the root thing. So for Penny, is the root thing, I'm not good enough. Or I can never work hard enough. Or no matter what I do, it's not enough. Like, what is the root thing underneath of that? Because then we can, so let's say it's just that resignate.
Yeah, no, it really does. Yeah, I feel like sometimes like you forget something, you stick to it, and then you don't get the results that you want. It's frustrating. You feel like it just doesn't work for you. And
Yeah.
you're trying hard enough.
So as you breathe, that will come down.
This is geranium.
So as you breathe that in, what do you know to be true about yourself? What do you want to believe is true? When you're thinking about that tension of working out. Because, I forgot something. What is really fascinating is that we are this is like a core pyramid of health and wellness. Okay? And we really, especially in holistic circles, focus on eating right and exercise as the foundation of health and wellness. But really, below that is our core beliefs. So if you believe, no matter how hard I try, I'm not ever going to get the results I want. Then when you exercise and you're doing something positive, that belief of I can't ever work hard enough is sabotaging your efforts because you believe that underneath everything. So if you can identify, this is what I believe, and it's a little tricky to do this in a group situation. So if it was just one-on-one, it would be a little different. And so we've done it on more on one-on-one situations. Because you can use that and release, okay, I'm going to let go, like I'm slamming the ball in shame, or my husband saying, I'm such a failure. I'm going to release that. And so if you can identify, and so some of the things that you said already, I verbally release and I let go, and just imagine it in your mind. And then use another oil of, let's say, confidence and self-assurance. Sometimes what they think the metabolism blends in there. Something sassy, which is like self-acceptance. I'm going to breathe that in. Okay, what do I want to believe? And sometimes it's easy to release and it takes a little longer to root a new belief. But if the new belief is, for me, I am fully supported in every moment, in everything I do. When that anxiety starts to come up, I'm releasing that anxiety and I'm believing that I'm fully supported in every moment of everything I do. And I've noticed a big shift in my ability to believe that because I'm using an oil to help root it down. But I had a traumatic experience years ago and was in counseling forever. And could never, no matter how hard I tried, get at the root. Like I had just encapsulated it so deeply and I could never get there. And one of the things is I would never cry, ever. I couldn't even if I wanted to. And I noticed that since I started using oils, I could cry a lot more. I'm not necessarily bawling my eyeballs out, but I could cry a lot more than I ever had before. For example, I was really anxious the other day, a few weeks ago maybe, and I grabbed some Pastance because I wanted to just stuff the emotion down. There's actually a book by the title, Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. And so I'm like, I'm just trying to keep functioning. So I'm putting some Pastance on. And then my husband says something to me, and I just literally start bawling my eyeballs out. Well, I've cried in front of my husband like 3 times in almost 10 years of marriage. So, he's like, I know, he's like, stuff for him because he's not used to me doing that. He cries more than I do. But all that to say is because I'm using that, I'm able to access a part of my body that I couldn't. But I'm carrying around a toxin, like that emotion is toxin. That core belief of I can never work hard enough is a toxin, and it's chemically affecting the rest of my body.
Yeah, that's huge.
So you did a really great job with me. Would you jump in?
Well, do you feel comfortable sharing it all? I know you're going, this is kind of a heavy thing.
Oh no, I mean, like what I always like blame it on is I'm like, oh, okay, well, like I go in and out of working out, and it's my own fault that I get out of shape, and then I try to get back into shape, and then I get impatient with it, and it's just this bad cycle.
Yeah.
So I want to take you, if you're comfortable with it, I want you to pick up whichever one smells the best to you, of what we've given you. Felt the most comforting.
Let's see. I was like trying to.
You're like, which one is it?
I think I really the past tense and the wild orange.
Okay, let's put them, hold them together. You can put them on in your hands or together, and I'm gonna lead you into something in a second and see what happens.
You can close your eyes if you want to, or if you come up one over here.
Yeah, if you can't close your eyes and reconnect with your body again like you did originally, then I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. If you feel comfortable,
Yeah.
you're doing awesome. And this is hard stuff, and I want you to know what you're sharing, like it resonates with me too. You're not alone. There you go. So just breathe it in and just connect with your body and feel the tension from the run. And then kind of tap into maybe beating yourself up a little bit with the exercise that you've shared. And then I want you to go the next step, and I want you to tell me in an object or a shape, what does that frustration or pain look like to you?
Like a spiky ball, like a deformed sphere.
Okay. Do they have a color?
Kind of like a purplish black.
Good. And then where is it in your being?
I'd be like low, kind of like belly button or a little lower area.
Okay, that's really good. You're really in touch. That's awesome. So close your eyes again, and I want you to look at the spiky ball that's purple in that region. And then I want you to tell us what is it, if you could do anything, what would you like to see done to that spiky thing?
What represents all those emotions? I mean, the spiky thing represents emotions.
I mean, of course, I wanted to just be gone somehow for like my body to reabsorb it and be able to expel it for just some way for it to be like removed.
That's awesome. So let's do that now. I want you to keep closing your eyes and keep breathing in the oils because that's what's going to help to melt it away. And I want you to picture something happening to this ball. It can be anything, a vacuum coming, sucking it up, or whatever comes to your mind. And you're actively going to see it go. And you can stand up and kick it out if you want, whatever's you personally. Anything happen?
No, it was good. Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to imagine it like disintegrating
Awesome.
and slowly just getting smaller.
That's really good. So that right there, that process you just went through is something that, like she used the word anchoring, that chemically the oils are going to anchor this new image into your emotions. So you're experiencing it through imagery, but it's actually happening chemically. And so the more you practice that with different emotions as they hit, or physical pain, and then you start to take it through this process, sitting down with your oils, and sometimes it's 10 times a day. Sometimes it's once a week. It just sort of depends on, what you're going for. And the more you keep doing that, it'll go through different layers. Because what just happened to you was really real, and the reason it's real is because you're believing it. So it's now to take it to what she was saying with anchoring to a new belief, now it's choosing whichever statement on that sheet or otherwise, I'm valuable, I'm enough, I'm beautiful, I'm, whatever it is, then as you practice believing that and using that same oil throughout the week, if you become aware of like this thing's coming up again, you grab that oil and then you say it out loud. I'm beautiful, I'm perfectly created, my whatever the deep thing is that you want to anchor to, and then trusting that it is going to anchor into the brain. Does that help?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good job. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for sharing. You were so great.
Yeah, you were great.
What questions do you guys have so far?
How often like do you guys use the oils on a daily basis?
I worked my way up to it. Like I bought some and I started playing with them for medical issues and occasionally for emotional, like I just felt sad, and so I just wanted to use it. And so, but when Jen and I got to go to class and connect that I can do something interactive to anchor, but when I saw the pyramid with the core beliefs at the bottom, that just resonated so much with me. But what I believe is the core of health and wellness, not food and nutrition and exercise. Because it's really easy to beat yourself up, because as soon as you slip, you're like, oh, I had this today, or oh, I was stressed. And how many people do you know emotionally eat? And so it's so hard to stay in control of that. Actually, the other day, for example, I feel like I teach more through stories than through diagrams, so thank you for hanging with me. I just felt like I was out of control with food. I was like, I'm stressed, I don't know what was going on, but I just like, every time I went in the kitchen, I would eat something, and I'm like, I'm not hungry, I'm just anxious. And so I grabbed my emotions book, and I was like, okay, what do I need to feel? I need to feel control. You know, how can I feel in control of my food choices right here? And so I looked up, okay, ginger will help me feel in control, and clove or something. And then I actually ended up doing biofeedback, but I could have done this activity that we just did and said I needed basil. And so I looked up basil and said, basil is for feeling overwhelmed and fatigued. And I was like, I am out of control because I feel overwhelmed and tired. And I need to go after the core belief. And the core problem was just feeling overwhelmed emotionally. Not try. The gaining control is just a symptom. And so I need to go after the overwhelmingness that I feel.
So what's, these have these statements
Yes.
and acceptance, so how do you do that with any of these emotions? You just,
Okay, so that's a great question. So you can start with if you are feeling on this chart here. So I am feeling, let's just pick weight issues. I'm feeling insecure and vulnerable and self-conscious and unfulfilled and suppressed. This could have been me the other day. I'm just feeling vulnerable and overwhelmed. And so I'm just emotional eating. But what I want to feel is I'm secure, confident, self-accepting, fulfilled, and authentic. So I'm going to grab one of those oils, and it might just be the one I like the best. If I have the textbook, I can look through and read the different ones. But if I have 2 or 3, I'm just going to go through those 2 or 3 that I have and see what makes the most sense. Because the nice thing about oils, because they're so multifunctional, you don't necessarily have to have the exact right one for the exact thing. There is plenty of flexibility in there. Let's say lemon is the one that would make the most perfect sense, but I could still use wild orange and have a profound positive benefit. That's one I'm not. And so I'm going to, I'm feeling so overwhelmed, and I'm imagining what's going on in my body, and I am seeing just panic. Like I'm just revisiting this story that I was saying. I just feel panicked, and so I'm focusing on that panic, and I'm balling it up like a piece of old mail that I'm going to throw away, and I am throwing it in the fireplace. This panic that I can't work hard enough, and I'm never going to get it all done, and I can't balance my life, and I'm just taking that, and I'm just balling it up, I'm throwing it in my fireplace, and I'm watching it just light on fire. And what I believe is that I'm secure and confident, and I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm secure and confident that everything that's gonna get done is gonna get done, and I'm supported in every moment, and, God has ordered my steps, I can rest and be at peace. And so I could just walk myself through that in 5 minutes.
So it's not one of these, though, it's one of these in here, you just kind of make up, not make up, but put the most positive statement you can to that. Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever connects with what
Yeah.
the opposite is. Yeah.
Right, and it's a big thing to think opposites. So if I'm feeling this profound negative, I want to go for the opposite. Because it's kind of like love is stronger than hate. And so instead of going at a negative problem with a negative, if you go from a positive place, the positive and the I love myself and I love is stronger than hate. So love can drive out the negative. So.
And I had a quick story, can I share? Please. There was one example to share. I went to newspaper prior to the example, but I had done the biofeedback with her machine, and time came up on there. Time is, the first thing when I thought time, I thought, I hate that oil. And the second thing I thought was, it just sounds so rugged and unbeautiful. So I was kind of apprehensive to even go home and smell it, but I did. And come to find out, it really helped me to get in touch with how raging angry I was, because it links emotionally to like hatred, resentment, and anger, which is pretty intense, which actually I was like, oh shit, that's kind of how I would describe time. So anyways, I'm inhaling time and I see this raging furnace. As I'm connecting with my body and what am I really feeling, I see this raging furnace inside of me. And my first reaction is, don't be angry. You shouldn't be angry. Stuff it down. You know, a lot of self-rejection in that state. And so I just stayed with it and I kept inhaling the time. And slowly I began to see, as I'm inhaling it, I began to see it dwindle down. And then I saw this tiny little flame and I thought, oh, I'm passionate. And I took something that to me was an incredibly negative thing to feel, which is anger. And I go instantly into self-rejection when I'm angry, which keeps me in anger, right? And I saw, and I loved myself in that, and I accepted myself. And I'm like, no, I'm a passionate person. I'm fiery. When it gets out of control, I can go, into this furnace, but it gave me the tools because I saw it. It gave me the tools to now when I go to anger after that, I'm like, no, it's okay for me to be angry, but I need to take time out here and get back in touch and remember that I am a fiery, passionate person, but I don't want to burn people. And so, that was just one more example. And the other point I want to make through that example is that not only do you want to pick oils that smell good to you, but the oils that you're repelled from, like you had mentioned lavender earlier, sometimes that emotion the emotional blockage matches an oil emotionally. And so the goal is to gently introduce the ones you don't like to your body, especially just put them on the bottom of your feet over a week or so. And if you can get to a place where you start to enjoy that oil and you like it, it's also helping you get back in touch with areas inside of yourself that you might have cut off or compartmentalized. So you don't want to necessarily avoid oils you don't like. But if you do start using one you don't like, be prepared for some emotional turmoil inside yourself as that wakens up.
Yeah. And oils can be emotionally detoxing because they can. It's not that everything has a frequency, and so because oils have such a high frequency, it's almost like they bring the negative frequencies of emotions, which we said are chemicals within your body, to the surface. So, for example, there's a therapy within our essential oil called Aroma Touch Technique, and it addresses immune support, stress management, inflammation, and bringing your body back into homeostasis. So the first time I received this treatment, it's kind of like massage. We used 8 different oils. It's all kind of
It's
set.
wonderful.
And I only gave her the 10-minute version, so we were both so tired we couldn't even stand up. But I've had the full version quite a few times, and the first time I had it, the lady says to me, now this can be an emotional detox if you're just a little extra emotional the next couple of days. Give yourself some grace. And I thought, whatever. I should write it down every time I say whatever, because I end up eating my words, it seems like. But I thought, no, that's silly. And the next morning I was at church and I was just teary for like 3 hours that morning. And I like crying over silliest things. It's like, what's going on with me? And I was really just teary for a couple hours. And then a few days, but nothing else besides that. And then a few days later, something triggered me to think about the boyfriend I had, that the relationship did not end well. And something triggered me to think about this old boyfriend. I thought about him and I thought, wow, I'm so thankful that he was in my life because he really taught me to love some things that are valuable to me. So that was my first thought. My second thought was, I don't think I had a positive thought about him in 15 years. And then I just kind of, as I processed, like, I think I just have been storing this just anger and hurt towards him in this situation. And I think I just was able to let go. And now it's kind of like that emotional digestion that we went through. I'm able to absorb the good. He taught me a lot of valuable things, and I'm thankful for them. And I let go of the toxins, which were the hurt and rejection and everything else. And I walk away having absorbed nutrients and let go of the waste. And I no longer have this like constipated emotional thing towards this person. So again, like Jen said, if you don't like an oil, a lot of times it can be because you have something that is emotionally connected that you don't want to deal with. And so I remember I was using Intune for an extended period of time, and I cannot stand patchouli. It is, it's like, I went to a convention last year and I smelled every oil and I liked all of them, but I could like throw patchouli if I say that. And so I started using Intune, which has patchouli in it. And I was like, I can't stand it. But as I'm using it, and when you use it, Aroma touches a lot of oils all at one time, and so you're going to have a more profound result. But Intune, I'm using it just every morning when I wake up before I go to the gym. So my gym shoes smell like Intune. So I'm not going to have that profound reaction, but it's just kind of a little bit by a little bit by a little bit, I'm really letting go of negative stored emotions. And so as I can look back a little bit and think about where was I when I started using it and where was I when I stopped using it, I've made progress, but it was so gradual that it didn't feel overwhelming.
So does it give you the negative emotions if you feel like something?
I think in the book it will say negative emotions that are addressed. And so, or if you know what your negative, like if you know you have self-hatred, you can look up what will help support that and help you release the self-hatred.
But it's a good point though, coming out of the molecules, like these are just little tools, the reference guide, but as you start using it, you'll want to write your own guides because there's so much more to our complexity and also the oils that as you start to self-discover and learn good tools, like I write tons of notes in my book just to show what that oil helped me with specifically, or smelling an oil by just randomly being like, this smells really good to me today, and then I can go here and learn how they make. But definitely trusting your intuition and how you are engaging is key, and these are just little tools to help you. So.
Do you feel like you can walk away from this class and have a little bit of an idea on how to The book is helpful. But without the book, the chart is a great place to start.
Yeah.
And so, and again, this is an abbreviated chart. The full chart is on sharesuccess.com/library. And I'm pretty sure there's more on that chart there than there is here. And it's at the bottom of the page and it's a free download.
And one other thing I'll add to, just as you're working with friends or family members, some people that maybe they have a ton of physical pain and that's maybe consuming them. Maybe, for instance, if you had a husband with migraines and it was like chronic migraines, one way to just start using this technique, so you're not necessarily going right for the emotional root, is to just start with like Mary Beth used balance and putting it on your palms and then gently massaging it, maybe using a little frankincense. And just that bonding by physical touch, starting with the hands, massaging it in, helps people to the oils begin to soothe and kind of minister to them. And then over time, you gently can build up to helping them to get to the group. Some people we meet out there, they're just not ready, but they're really stuck in a physical ailment. And you might, after you start practicing this, you might realize, I really think there's a deep emotional root causing some chronic something going on in your body. That's just sort of a gateway.
I was in a class once, and with a lady I had just met, and she just seemed super tense. And so I said, can I just give you a hand massage? And I just put some serenity, and I just started massaging her hand. And we're talking across the table about something not even related.
How smart.
And in a few minutes, she said, you know, when you first started touching me, I was like, a stranger's touching me, you know? And then now, I'm really calm and peaceful and happy, you know? And I didn't do anything besides create a bond with her, obviously with touch, but I'm using oils, which are, the oil I use is known for its calming, soothing effects. And so I think that's the thing I love about oils is because having been in that counseling and ministerial world, I feel like you have to work really hard to connect emotionally. You know, I've journaled with my opposite right hand, done inner child things and made progress, and those are great tools to have. But I feel like essential oils and Theophostics takes those things and just amps it up big time. So you can use the same tools. If you have a inner healing tool that you like to use that's been efficient for you, you can add oils to that, and it's like really turning the fire up underneath that tool and making it so much more effective.
Well, I was just gonna, I don't know much about EMDR, but do you guys ever use the EFT, like tapping?
We use it at our doctor's office,
Yeah.
actually.
Well, and come to find out, the oils take the place of it, so you don't have to do it in addition. To me, I was grateful because tapping was just, I get
No,
tired.
a lot of people don't like tapping.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but because of the frequency that Mary Beth mentioned, it's the same thing. You're getting the vibrations that are inherent already with the oils, and that vibration and the activation in the brain is what's helping to rewire and flush the trauma out instead of activating energy systems this way.
And if you're doing a massage, are you doing it just with a drop or are you putting oil with it to do a hand massage or
If your
something?
hand's really dry, or if I have it with me, I'll do the fractionated coconut oil first. But if I don't, I will, I'll just put it in the palm of their hand.
But can you do any other oil, like we talked about last time, you said it doesn't have to be fractionated. Or if you-
Yes, you could use, in a pinch, I've used hospital lotion before.
I mean, like I have jojoba oil or
Right.
coconut oil, any of those
Right.
will work, you don't have to use the.
I recommend fractionated as for like all the time type stuff, just because it's less greasy, it doesn't stain your clothes, blah, blah, blah. It's a convenience factor, but I use everything under the sun. I use olive oil. I mean, I dumped it out of my cooking jar, so that's fine. And some of the more mild oils like lavender, serenity, frankincense, you don't have to dilute. You just absorb more of it when you dilute. And the palm of your hands aren't super sensitive. So I would never use oregano without
You
diluting.
actually absorb more when it's diluted?
Because essential oils are so volatile and they evaporate real easily. So when you kind of weigh them down, really with just a drop or two of a carrier oil, you can, so if you weigh it down and you use massage, you're going to get as much of it as possible. Now, if it's in the middle of the night and I think I'm about to sleep, I'll put lavender and I'll just sit there and rub it behind my ear for 10 or 15 seconds. Because that friction opens up the pores and I'm absorbing more of it. But generally, I will use carrier oil. Hope you're online. Thank you for joining us. And if you have questions, you can shoot me an email. I emailed a few of the forms. If you have questions. Shoot me an email and give us some feedback. Thanks for coming.